So with our handsome Mr. T, ready Teddy? We're gonna do a little bit with some of our lovely loose leash walking. So I do also like to incorporate as well, sometimes with the loose leash walking, we did incorporate a couple times with some of the other pups in some of the previous weeks, is the front behavior and then sometimes the side or finish skill. So when working with Mr. T, I'm just gonna see if I can get his attention. Ready Teddy? So that lovely little U-turn, I'm gonna feed for that little response of heading back into my space. As we're practicing, again, I'm feeding for while he's by the leg. And remember that the more you practice these behaviors, the more it becomes, again, deposits into those bank accounts that we're hoping our puppies find value in. I always like to reiterate that your babes are not going to find these skills important or reinforcing on their own. Remember, just like with us, we don't work pro bono most of the time. We do enjoy our paychecks. So ready, Teddy, come. So if you're finding that, for example, Mr. T is not as responsive to a certain skill or behavior, it could be that there's not enough deposits into that account to make it seem valuable from his perspective. So ready, Teddy, come. He's just very interested in what Ebba's doing on the other side. She's doing some playtime. Ready? Yes. Good job. So with your babes, also remember that your pup will also need to figure out how to generalize these skills, where in the beginning they do tend to happen almost like in a vacuum setting, like your home, your yard, and then all of a sudden you try novel places and sometimes behavior is completely out the window. So if you're finding that when you're practicing with your babes, the behaviors are not as resilient or they don't come out as easily, it could be that they don't have enough of a foundation in the skill set itself before implementing distractions and more chaos around them. So ready? Teddy, come. Yes, what a good boy. So if let's say Mr. T had not responded, great job, sir, I would have gone a little closer and then tried to get his attention from that second point. Yes, nice job. Feed for that lovely moment. Ready, Teddy? He says, but there's so many good smells. And obviously for Mr. T, if there's going to be moments where you do lose him, remember that training doesn't have to be so dramatic in the sense like it has to be perfect every time. Remember that training is linear and it sometimes will flow back and forth. So Teddy, ready? Nice, good check-in. So even if you're getting little glimmers of behavior you were hoping to get the whole time, that's still progression. So remember, not perfection, but progression into the direction you were hoping to get with your babe, so they can start to learn and figure out what the heck you're hoping from them and start to build value in those behaviors. Ready? Nice. So when working with obviously some of this loose leash walking, you'll see that at times I'm feeding for being by the side. Nice. And you can do this left or right. So that way your pup can start to get comfortable on both body sides. Because if your puppy tends to only do one side, then sometimes as you come across something yucky in the road or on your walk, you can then have your puppy switch to the other side to avoid that thing on the ground or on the roadway. So Mr. T says, hold on, your pants smell delicious, so we're a little distracted. So the benefit again, though, of front behaviors is to get your puppy to start following and moving into the front of your body at the time. So fronts can be great to re-hone in your dog. Let's say they blow past you and they're a little bit ahead and you need to regain their focus. Having them come into a front position can be very, very helpful. So in the beginning, the way I like to rock it is I have the puppy, ready, Teddy? He's like, hold on, I heard a noise. This building is very rickety, and I feel like we had to go potty. Oh, that's all right. So he's pretty much empty. We already went out earlier, but sometimes there's some really good aromas in here. And I know we've talked about it prior where a lot of dogs will try to leave some of their information behind because of the fact that, of course, that's how they communicate. So in an environment like this where it was a doggy daycare for almost 10 years before I moved in, there's a lot of really great odor left behind, even though I've done my darndest to clean. Ready, Tenny? So let's say for this front position, I like to start off with a couple snacks in my hand. He's like, yes, ma'am. And I'm going to show it to his little sniffer so he can figure it out. And I'm going to go front and feed as he comes into the front of my space. So again, front and then feed. If he's sometimes jumping up a little bit, not the end of the world, but what you're trying to get him to do is move into the front of your body. Eventually, these could turn into a sit position in your front. So again, front, yes. So again, this is just the beginning stages. So then as you're walking with your babe, and let's say you have his attention potentially, he's like, I don't know, lady, there's a lot of noise. Right here, we could feed for being by the leg, working that loose leash walking. Then we could bring him into the front position in front of our body and feed for that. Nice. And I might even jackpot him, which means a couple little crumbs. Oh, I dropped one. He's like, don't worry, you'll find that one later. So that way you're almost building, again, more depth to this behavior in the sense that there's a lot more benefits from his end to give it a try. Ready? Teddy says, we're going back outside. We've already been outside, sir, a whole bunch, and it's really chilly. Teddy, come. He's like, my brain melted. So if, let's say, you have a moment, yes, where your puppy has a little bit of a hard time, I always like to try to go and help them versus just constantly maybe reminding them by saying something over and over. Because remember, the more that you say a certain word or cue and they don't perform it, they're going to start to maybe either lose the meaning or the association around that word, or they might think that several of those words eventually equal the check-in. So I would recommend to, again, try to only say a cue word or a skill when you're about 80 to 90% certain your puppy's going to be successful. If you don't think they are going to be successful, try to help them, show them what you'd like, so it becomes a behavior that can be then well rehearsed. So again, from here, from the side position, we'll bring them into our front and feed them there. Then, while your puppy is sometimes in the front position, but you want to keep walking, now they're sort of in the way. What I find can be helpful is to bring him from the front into your side or finish position. So that way your puppy could be, again, by your leg, ready to go ahead and do some more loose leash walking, and then feed for that. Nice. So the benefit of this is sometimes the more you get him in the groove of having a couple different things to work on, is you can keep engagement more fun. A lot of times just hanging out next to us is kind of boring. So sometimes making it more, again, dynamic can make it more adventurous for him. Ready, Teddy? He's like, lady, I'm so exhausted. And he's very interested in my stinky floor today. Ready? So we might give him a little breather because I know he's getting a little bit tired from some of the loose leash walking and some of these skills. But then we're going to work a couple other little skill sets as well. And he says that